Apple is about to take its smallest iPad and give it the single biggest upgrade it has ever seen. And if the leaks are right, buying an iPad mini right now could be a $500 mistake. We're talking about an OLED iPad mini, a brighter, smoother, more premium display, a faster chip, and a likely higher price tag, pushing it closer to the $599 to $699 range in the US. That instantly changes where it sits against Samsung's Galaxy Tab S9, the S9 FE, and even compact devices like the Asus ROG Ally and Nintendo Switch for gaming. So if you have a 2 to 3 year old tablet and you're thinking, should I upgrade now, wait for the OLED mini, or skip it and buy something else? That is exactly the buying decision we're going to solve. Here is what is actually changing, why it matters for real-world use, and whether this will be a smart long-term investment or just an expensive impulse buy. First, the headline. OLED on a small 8-inch tablet is a huge deal. On paper, you get deeper blacks, higher contrast, better HDR, and more accurate colors than the current LCD Mini. In real use, that means dark mode that looks truly black instead of dark gray, movies and gaming that feel closer to an OLED TV, and photos that pop in a way the current Mini simply cannot match. If you care about media, reading at night, or color-sensitive work, this alone could be the upgrade that makes the price worth it. But that is not the biggest change. The real question is, which chip is Apple putting in this thing? And how long will it stay fast? Most leaks point to Apple finally moving the iPad mini off the A15 and onto something in the A17 or M series range, likely an A17 Pro class chip to match the latest iPhones. In simple terms, expect roughly 30 to 40% faster CPU performance and up to 50 to 60% faster graphics compared to the current iPad mini. In a real-world scenario, a 4K video export that takes 2 minutes on the current Mini could drop closer to 1 minute 15 seconds on the OLED Mini. For a creator doing that every day, that saves hours every month and gives you more billable work time from the same device. This is where the financial decision starts to get interesting. If the OLED Mini lands around $649 in the US, you're not just buying a fun little tablet. You are buying 4 to 5 years of high-end performance and 6 to 7 years of software support. Spread over 6 years, that is roughly $9 a month for a device you may use every single day for work, reading, streaming, and gaming. If it genuinely speeds up your workflow or replaces other gadgets, that could be a smart investment. But here's where most buyers are completely missing a key risk. OLED is not free. It brings two big trade-offs: potential burn-in and power draw. Apple will likely use advanced OLED panels with better longevity and software tricks to reduce static elements. Still, if you use your tablet 8 hours a day with the same app UI on screen, an OLED panel has more long-term risk than an LCD like the current Mini. On the flip side, OLED can be more power efficient in darker interfaces. So if you live in dark mode and read a lot, you may actually see better battery life than the current model, even with a brighter, smoother panel. The next question, what about display size and that jelly scroll issue people complain about on the current Mini? Leaks suggest Apple will keep the footprint almost the same, but refine the panel and controller to reduce that uneven scroll effect in portrait mode. If Apple corrects that Plus gives you OLED, this could quietly become the best small premium tablet display on the market. That alone could pull buyers away from the Galaxy Tab S9 FE and even the cheaper Amazon Fire tablets, especially for people who want a truly premium experience. Now, against competitors, this is where the OLED Mini gets interesting. Right now, the Galaxy Tab S9 with a AMOLED and a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chip offers fantastic media and gaming at around $799, often lower on sale. If the OLED iPad Mini hits $649 to $699, you are getting a smaller screen but arguably better long-term software support and stronger single-core performance for tasks like writing, browsing, and productivity apps. For a professional who wants a compact, note-taking and reading device that can also be a powerful sidecar to a MacBook, that ecosystem advantage is massive. But we need to talk about gaming performance, because that is one of the hidden use cases for the Mini that most buyers underestimate. On the current Mini, intensive games already run well, but frame rates can dip and thermals can spike with longer sessions. With an A17 class chip and a more efficient OLED panel, you're looking at higher sustained frame rates for titles like Genshin Impact, Call of Duty Mobile, and Apple Arcade games. If a current Mini is hovering around 45 to 50 frames per second on higher settings, the new Mini could push closer to a more stable 60 frames per second, with better thermal management and less throttling over time. And it is not just games. If Apple leans into its upcoming console-style titles on iPad, a more powerful chip and a compact body could make the OLED Mini the best small gaming tablet for the next few years. Here is where things get very interesting at the 3-minute mark. Most people comparing specs are not thinking about how the OLED Mini might change the value of the base iPad and iPad Air. If the Mini gets OLED and a newer chip while the regular iPad keeps LCD and a weaker processor, the Mini starts to look like the better long-term buy, even though the screen is smaller. For someone who travels often or commutes daily, the portability plus premium display might be far more valuable than an extra couple of inches of screen size. So should you wait or buy something else now? If you're looking at spending around $500 on a tablet today, this is a critical moment. Buying the current iPad Mini right now at full retail is hard to justify if an OLED version is a few months away. You would be locking an older display tech and an older chip and giving up years of potential performance and resale value. On the other hand, if you can find the existing Mini around $399 or less, used or on sale, and you mostly read, browse, and stream, that could still be the best value for your money. You are trading future-proofing for a lower upfront cost, which can be a perfectly rational financial decision if tablets are not a big part of your workflow. But the numbers start to shift at the 5-minute mark when you compare this to the iPad Air and even to smaller laptops. A base iPad Air is likely to stay around $599 to $649. If the OLED Mini comes in just above that, you'll be asking, do I want a bigger LCD or a smaller OLED? From a pure productivity upgrade standpoint, the Air with a larger screen may be better for spreadsheets, multitasking, and side-by-side apps. However, if your work is more about reading, marking up PDFs, using it as a digital notepad, or as a companion screen, the Mini's portability plus OLED quality might give more day-to-day satisfaction and better perceived value. And this is the part that could surprise a lot of buyers. Once the OLED Mini launches, the resale value of the current iPad Mini is likely to fall further, especially for people who paid full price recently. If you own the current Mini and are thinking about upgrading, selling it before the new model is officially announced may give you a better return on your original investment. Waiting until after launch could cost you $50 to $100 in resale value, which is real money you could put toward the new model. Now let us talk storage and RAM, because that silently makes or breaks long-term ownership. If Apple starts the OLED Mini at 64 gigabytes again at around $649, that base model is going to feel tight in a couple of years if you install big games, offline media, and creative apps. If spending an extra $100 to $150 to jump to 128 gigabytes or 256 gigabytes gives you 3 to 4 more years before you feel cramped, that is a smarter investment, even though it stings at checkout. Think of it as paying a bit more now to avoid being forced to upgrade early. From a professional workflow perspective, a more powerful chip plus better display accuracy on OLED means better photo reviewing, more precise color grading previews, and more comfortable reading for long sessions. For a lawyer, consultant, or student who lives in PDFs, that can legitimately boost productivity and reduce eye fatigue. Compared to something like a 12.9-inch iPad Pro with Mini LED, the new Mini will not match that extreme brightness and screen real estate. but it also will not be $1,099. If the OLED Mini lands around half that price, it could be the best value iPad for people who do not need a laptop replacement, just a powerful, premium companion device. At around the 7-minute mark, we need to bring all of this into a clear decision. Because the worst outcome is spending $600 to $700 at the wrong time and watching your device feel outdated in 2 years. For casual users who mainly stream Netflix, browse the web, and read articles, the OLED Mini may be overkill at launch price. If you can get the current Mini or base iPad under $400, that is still the best value play and a smarter financial move, unless you deeply care about OLED quality. For power users and professionals, the OLED iPad Mini starts to look like a strong, future-proof investment. The combination of a newer chip, better display, and long software support means you can buy once and keep it for 5 to 6 years without worrying about performance. For creators, especially photographers, digital artists who like drawing on a smaller canvas, and video editors who want a compact preview and no device, the OLED Panel Plus improved chip could be a real productivity upgrade. If this tablet saves you even 10 to 15 minutes a day in export times, reference checks, and on-the-go edits, that adds up to real billable hours over a year. For gamers, the OLED Mini has the potential to be the best small gaming tablet Apple has ever made. If you currently use a 2 to 3-year-old iPad, you will notice smoother gameplay, fewer frame drops, and a significantly better viewing experience, especially in darker games. If you're upgrading from a 2 to 3-year-old base iPad or iPad Mini, and you plan to keep your next device for years, waiting for the OLED Mini is likely the smart move. Your upgrade cost is higher up front, but the long-term value and future-proofing are much better than buying last year's tech to save $100 today. If you already own the latest Mini and you are happy with the display, you do not need to panic upgrade. You will see nice improvements, but unless you really want OLED or you push the chip hard, your current device is still solid. So here is the clear verdict. If you're a casual user on a tight budget, skip the OLED Mini at launch and hunt for discounts on the existing Mini or base iPad. That is your best value. If you're a power user, professional, or creator who uses a tablet every day, wait for the OLED iPad Mini. It is shaping up to be a smart long-term investment, especially if you're coming from a 3 to 5-year-old device. If you're a gamer or media lover who cares about screen quality, the OLED Mini is the one to watch. Do not buy the current Mini at full price now. You are too close to a major upgrade. If you already own the current Mini and you're not pushing it to its limits, hold off. See the final specs and price first. You may be better waiting one more cycle or going up to an iPad Air or Pro instead. For everyone else in that, I can upgrade, but I do not have to group, the smartest financial play is simple. Pause. See where the OLED iPad Mini actually lands on price and storage, and then compare it directly with the iPad Air and Galaxy Tab S9 before you move any money. Because the real shift in this launch is not just OLED. It is how this one small tablet could force you to rethink what the best value iPad actually is. And before you make that final call, there is one more comparison that could change everything. How this OLED Mini stacks up against the next iPad Air and the current Galaxy Tab S9 in real-world performance. That full breakdown is coming next, and it is where the real winners and losers in this price range will become obvious.